We are sitting right here in Tom Crean's seat.
At least we think that's what it is.
Yeah, along that. He doesn't have a seat, actually. We'd have to be
does
pacing.
he ever? Yeah.
We'd have to be pacing if we wanted to be Tom Crean, like carrying the laptop with us and then getting down and doing the thing. Anyway, Chris Korman, Herald-Times sports editor here, joined by Dustin Dopirak, beat writer. Covers all things Hoosiers. Yes. And does it so well. Including tonight's scintillating 81-78 overtime win. Verdell Jones hitting the key shot right over there.
Right over there. Fell right down in front of Roy Hibbert and Patrick Ewing Jr.
Yes. About 32 seconds left, 32.8 seconds left in overtime. Jumper in the lane after Indiana seemed to have pulled one of its squander jobs.
Did squander a 15-point lead.
Did squander a 15-point lead and then
went down 6 and came all the way back and won it.
Yeah. So, Dustin, your take on Indiana seeming to, turn a corner. I've heard that phrase today. I don't like it, but
I don't either.
Your read on it?
I don't either. I mean, for one thing, it makes a difference, obviously, because it kind of, I think that Illinois game was in their heads. I mean, a couple of different people talked about it, that they just could not let that happen again. And, it was really crucial for them to show that, yes, we can finish a game, even if we blow a 15-point lead, we can get it back. That, they almost don't have to be afraid of having the lead, knowing that it's going to go away. I mean, I think that was big for their confidence. I mean, does it mean they turn a corner? I mean, it doesn't mean it can't happen again, basically. That somewhere.
And it will. This team is still, Green said in the postgame, we're still 2 years away from having a 4-year player, is what he said. And that makes such a huge difference. It really does.
Sure.
We're talking about Verdell Jones stepping up and being the man.
Right.
Jones, he's a sophomore. He's a sophomore who entered a program with one senior, who was Kyle Tabor, who had walked on 5 years earlier and been barely used.
Right.
So there's none of that to think this signifies any sort of
complete turnaround.
Oh, now the Hoosiers are clutch.
Yeah.
No, but certainly a great win for this team at this point. Just what it means for their confidence and Jones specifically. I think I wrote my column about Verdell Jones and said that he really seemed to be a guy stepping up a little bit and sort of filling that role. I think last year, you weren't here last year, but that team got thrown together late.
Right.
It's a little bit of a ragtag bunch. Kind of came out of nowhere. Verdell Jones didn't sign until May 5th.
Right.
And had been courted by Minnesota, some other places. Was probably looking at other schools going and possibly redshirting or certainly not playing 28.5 minutes per game as he did with Indiana. So that group came together, faced tremendous odds.
Right.
And I think sort of really bonded together and stuck together. But when you watch other teams, and we watch a lot of other college basketball, and we watch Villanova recently, and you watch Scotty Reynolds, and you watch Villanova. Scotty Reynolds is the man for Villanova.
Right, absolutely.
You know that. There's no question. And everyone else sort of from there fits in. They find their place.
Right.
Indiana, as I watched this team the last year and a half, has not had any semblance of that. It's a different guy each night. It's different guys trying to figure out, different guys trying to step up. Devin Dumas tries to step up. Maybe goes a little too far at times. Other times he's great at it. And I think today, and this is what my column was about, is that Verdell Jones sort of took that step to, okay, this is who I am. Now the rest of you figure out who you are.
Yeah. There was there was a lot of different points of leadership today. I think Jones was the one guy who really, took it up a notch. I mean, those 2 shots he hit, not only the 3-point play, it didn't end up being a 3-point play because he missed a free throw, but not only the turnaround that he, got fouled and fell down on, but the shot right before that, just kind of cold-blooded, walked up right to the foul line and just knocked one down. I mean, those are 2 big shots, and offensively, I think he's the guy, with Creek gone now, he's the guy with the most complete set of, I guess, offensive weapons. He doesn't necessarily have a 3-point shot, but does have that.
He did hit one today, though, right?
Yeah, wait. No, I think he hit one in the last one. I don't think he hit a 3 today.
Okay.
No. But, he can hit that mid-range jumper. He can go to the rack a little bit, even though he's not great at finishing when he's dealing with bigger guys. But, I mean, he's got some stuff that maybe Jordan Hulls and Jeremiah Rivers don't have.
Sure.
So, I mean, he obviously used some of that today, and you saw a good bit of that. But there was different forms of leadership from, I thought, 3 other guys in particular. Maybe even 4 if you count Jordan Hulls. But 3 in particular, I thought Christian Watford brought down a gigantic rebound.
Right.
Basically, with 4.3 seconds left to knock down his free throws.
He was surrounded by about 3 guys. Stuck his right arm out, got it.
And
it was a toughness play. It was a toughness play that he doesn't make last week possibly.
Right, absolutely. And comes down and hit 2 free throws. He'd been struggling a little bit at the line. He's always been a good free throw shooter, somewhere around the 80% mark, more around 78. But had missed a couple big ones. Even talked about how he missed the front end of a 1-on-1 against Illinois in that loss last week. But he comes down and hits 2 big free throws that forces Minnesota to try to take a 3 to tie it at the end of overtime. And also, as much as you're seeing less and less from him offensively as far as scoring the basketball, I thought Jeremiah Rivers came through huge in the last 4 minutes against Bo Joseph.
Yeah.
Huge defensively because, Joseph had just been stroking, just huge shots, hit the one to force overtime, and a shot before that, just 2 gigantic shots, and then opened with 2 3-pointers.
Tough shots too. He was not getting. Indiana was not losing him.
Wofford wasn't doing a bad job of defending him. But Rivers he told me, Crean had not mentioned this, but Rivers told me he went to Crean at the end of a timeout and said, "Look, I want to guard the guy.
Right.
This guy's not scoring anymore," and he didn't. And from the time they put Rivers on him, about the 4 3-minute mark of overtime, he didn't score again. So I thought each of those 3 guys, and even Dumas to a certain degree, hit some big shots.
Sure.
Like you said, went a little bit off pace as he tends to do. Started taking 25-foot threes, which, when he hits a couple, he starts thinking he can make those. And that's an issue, but they needed somebody to hit some big shots to get the offense going, to just, put some buckets in and not got them going at the beginning.
It's still clearly by committee. Almost everything on this team is still by committee.
Absolutely.
But you just watch game by game, and guys are starting to figure out who they are. Tom Pritchard had a strong game, but then, still got into the foul trouble. He was, I think, really the emblematic one. Really strong game, did so many things well. Tom Crean thought some of the fouls called on him were iffy. But then Pritchard's playing with 4 fouls in a close game, a game that clearly might go to overtime, that they could really use him, and he just absolutely puts his shoulder down and barrels into a guy.
Oh, yeah. God, I almost forgot about that play. But, the charge was just blatant.
Yeah.
It was just, what are you doing?
Right, and that's just in other scenarios, if Tom Pritchard's playing on a team that has seniors, juniors, and has been influenced by them the whole time, he probably realizes that that's not the play to do there. Or there's somebody who's sort of leading him, guiding him, has led him, has guided him, and he's not in that situation. But that was just, to me, the glaring sort of, how do you do that?
And I think he's frustrated, too. I think that was one of those plays where,
Sorry, technical difficulty. But we're back. Dustin, continue with your point.
Yeah, I was just going to say that was one of those plays where he had been frustrated. I think Tom Crean had been getting on Tom Pritchard a lot in recent weeks and said a lot of stuff, even publicly about how he wanted to see a lot more from him. And Tom had been playing a lot more active, and I think he just really wanted to make one of those plays that kind of proved, all right, look, I am aggressive. Look, I can do this. I hear what everybody's saying. I'm going to go at this, and he took it a little bit too far, and he just ran straight into a guy who's standing still, and he got out of there.
So that's it's all this growth process, huh?
It's this growth process, yes.
It's rebuilding that we've heard Tom Crean mention once or twice.
Or 100 or 200 or 3,000 times.
Take me through this next week, D.
Well, they got Penn State Thursday, and, obviously the big thing they have to prove now is that they can do something like this on the road. The first 2 road games have not been nearly as good. Obviously, the Ohio State game, they barely showed up for that. Michigan, they showed up and they tried to fight, but they didn't really play well. So they got to go on the road on Thursday and try to prove that they can do that. What works out for this team pretty well is that they alternate until the end of February. They go home away, home away, home away, home away. The only Big Ten team that does that. So even if things get bad there, they at least get back home on next Sunday for Iowa.
Alrighty. Well, I hope you guys will join us all week for our coverage. Obviously, we'll have stuff in the paper tomorrow. We'll have some more on Tuesday, some follow-ups. Then we'll get to talk to coach and players on Wednesday, we think. Dustin will head out to Happy Valley. So this is it. This is the thick of it. Basketball fans' paradise. And I'll leave you with, see ya.